Welcome back to The Price of Business. I'm your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. There's so much that we could talk about, but you know what? It bores me. No, I'm just joking. I'm in the talking business. I better figure out what the yak about, and I am. Earlier this week, Rand Paul announced that he was running for president, and we're working, by the way, to get Rand on the program. You know, I knew Rand when Rand was Randy. His girlfriend, who is now his wife, changed the name from Randy Paul to Rand Paul, and he. So
you're saying he's not Randy anymore now that
he's just
married.
Rand. Yeah.
Now that he's married, he's not Randy anymore.
No, you know how that has that effect on men?
Sure.
So anyway, looking forward to getting him on the program. He is steaming over the fact that Susanna Guthrie on the Today Show.
Savannah Guthrie.
Savannah Guthrie.
Susanna.
Yeah, I have a good friend named Susanna, which is probably where I get the confusion. But yeah, so Savannah Guthrie it was a horrible interview. It was incredibly. It was so obvious that she had an agenda.
Sure,
it was so obvious.
It's a hit piece.
Yeah, and these people are so they're not even subtle about it. You know, if it was Ed Markey, the socialist senator from Massachusetts, she would be swooning, but because it was
or at least
Rand
polite.
Paul, or at least no, she'd be swooning. I've seen these people. It's a complete 180 when they're dealing with a conservative or libertarian in this case, and when they're dealing with a Democrat, and so she wasn't even friendly. There was not an ounce of warmth. It was irritating to watch, and she hurts herself. But meanwhile, the question is did he do anything to help himself? And you didn't like his performance. I
thought that he acted like a bully. I thought that he came across like a petulant kind of hey, no. I mean, you don't cut people off like that and just continue to. He should have been more gracious. He should have been a little bit more, gregarious, I don't know, and just let her get her point made and then, very calmly, rip her to shreds.
Yeah.
But instead, he ripped himself to shreds. But I don't think she was going
to give him the platform or airtime to be able to really defend himself.
No, you don't know
that. I saw the interview, and it was very boom, 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 very systematic on her part. And it was incredibly editorialized.
She had a list. Okay, she came prepared to go, you were here, now you're here. You were here, now you're here. You were here, now you're here. It would have behooved him to listen through to that whole list and then said, okay, let's start at the top. And been very honest in his answers. And then because she had such a list, he could have made fun saying, let's see, now what was the next one? I'm sorry, you had so many that you were trying to list out there, and put it back on her. But instead, now he is perceived as someone who has a problem with women.
I think you're going too far.
No. That's what Wolf Blitzer did to him
Wolf
in the
Blitzer's
next.
Such a great authority
in the next chance on Cena that he got. Breaking news: Rand Paul has problems with female reporters. That's where it went. That's what they're trying to paint it as. Whether it's true or not, that's how they're going to try to paint him, is anti-woman. So he's not helping himself if he continues to... Oh, by the way, he didn't interrupt Wolf Blitzer.
Yeah, that's interesting. Even Megyn Kelly is coming after Rand Paul, which is surprising because Megyn Kelly, I consider her one of the more professional journalists out there.
She's very smart.
And, she's talk about the complete package. That's Megyn Kelly. And she's also, I think, is sympathetic to conservatives generally.
She is, but that's my point is he made himself look bad and he's dug himself into a hole that, yes, he can get out of it. But
absolutely.
But he does need to kind of reevaluate the way that he's going about these interviews, and he can take it to them. He just needs to be nicer about it. We don't need more than one Chris Christie. Thank you very much.
Yeah, let's see. Chuck Todd says that Rand Paul has a, quote, habit of attacking women. That's interesting.
And
I've
that's
never
Chuck
seen
Todd.
that.
These guys are just...
Chuck Todd, I mean, these guys are just pure agenda guys anyway.
That's right. And so you take it for what it is. Take it with a grain of salt. But take it. And he needs to take that criticism, and he needs to work on it. If he's going to be serious, as a presidential candidate, he's not going to win any women over when the narrative is Rand Paul is mean to women when they're trying to ask him questions. It's not going to go over well for him.
Yeah. Yeah. Meanwhile, Megyn Kelly also said that to me, it's ironic that the people trying to step in and protect these female interviewers are themselves being sexist. And so she was attacking, some of the
Chuck
sexism pervasive, in some of these, journalists.
Yeah. Well, look, I guess, don't cast that first stone. But the point is, Rand Paul, if he's going to be a contender for the president, he'd better learn how to deal with people who are agenda-driven reporters.
Yeah, I know that he
men or women.
His people told me that they thought my article that I wrote about him getting bland for Rand was a kind of a hit piece. It was actually a very sympathetic piece talking about how bright Rand was, not trying to use the same constituency that was used in 2008 and 2012 for failed elections.
Right.
And if you used the exact same constituency again, he would lose again. And of course, this is his first opportunity to lose, talking about his father, Ron Paul.
Right.
And so, but even they were sensitive about that piece. And that, to me seemed a little odd.
They're going to be bristling. He's a prickly candidate.
Well, he's in the running for the wrong office if you're going to be a prickly candidate. I'm not sure if you could be much more than a state legislator these days if you've got thin skin.
That's my point.
That's one of the reasons why people have asked me, why don't I run for office? I probably am too thin-skinned to run for office. It would drive me nuts. Besides a plethora of other reasons. The only way financially, you have to be really rich to stay independent and run for office. And so I feel like the only way I could get elected is probably whore myself in the process as well. I'm not interested in doing those type of things. I'd rather be a critic than one who becomes a part of that sick process. But
where you call everybody friend and
everyone, you're honorable gentlemen and all that.
I hate
bull
that.
crap.
Yeah,
Me
I hate
too.
It.
Yeah, that sleazeball.
John McCain.
Sleazeball from Massachusetts. What did you?
John McCain makes my skin crawl.
Yes.
The way he refers to all of his friends. And, they better
He's
not
got too many friends, doesn't he?
They better not be your friends. They better not really be your friends, because if they are, then we as constituents, we as people you're supposed to be doing the work of, we have a problem with you, buddy. Because Harry Reid, he ain't your friend. He's not my friend. So I don't like that. I think that it's very disingenuous. And, Rand Paul, if he's going to run for president, and he's going to be taking a lot of tough questions, because guess what? He's got a lot of deficits, okay?
Such as?
His foreign policy.
But I don't know. It's his dad's foreign policy that has deficits. The foreign policy of the neocons hasn't worked. The aggressive foreign policy that somehow the United States can be the world's cop. And, of course, the head-in-the-sand approach of the Obama administration isn't working. And then having these little kid-fit moments of attacking regimes whenever it gets pissed off isn't working. There has to be a third way. I mean, what we've been doing with the two extremes of isolationist and to a certain extent, and the neoconservative approach of thinking that we can solve the world's problems when we can't solve our own problems. That needs to be a different approach. And now you've got the Obama administration creating a timeline in which the Iranians get a nuclear bomb. That's the only way they sign into this. The Iranians are only going to sign into a program that allows them to get into a nuclear bomb, and in the interim, you've got the situation where they're going to be able to fund terror throughout the Middle East,
right,
because of the freeing up of the sanctions.
And then, of course, everybody else in the region is going to be scared of nuclear weapons, Iran, so they're going to start trying to work with Pakistan to offload some of their nuclear weapons over to these other countries. So there's going to be a nuclear arms race in the Middle East, and there are people like Ann Curry saying, John Kerry has a chance at a Nobel Peace Prize because of it. What? Are you crazy? Yes, of course you're crazy. But still, if Rand Paul's going to enter into this situation, he better have a cogent foreign policy, and right now he doesn't. And I think that it's going to haunt him. I think that he needs to learn how to answer these questions better than being prickly, like we talked about earlier.
Yeah, I do believe there needs to be a third way. He needs to articulate what that looks like. It's time for him to do that major foreign policy speech somewhere.
Well, hey, you know what? Maybe come out with a plan that he puts online. Since he's doing so much, online, he wants this to be such a large part of his presidential run, is that it's going to be, high tech this and high tech that. All right, so come out with your plan and put it out there for people to see. And no one wants to do that this early in the game, because then it's out there for everybody to see and to pick apart.
Well, that's going to be the only thing he talks about, and that isn't why Rand Paul is going to get elected as foreign policy.
No.
And that's the only thing the media wants to talk about. So he needs to just get it behind him rather quickly so he can talk about some stuff that I think is very compelling. His vision about liberty, the idea of a truly freer economy, restoring private property, and the right for individuals to make decisions for themselves. Those are things that will attract voters. His foreign policy, I don't know if any of their foreign policies are going to attract voters, any of the candidates.
He's going to have to really work out how you have limited government but large military presence, large military, and right now, foreign policy is basically a synonym for larger military expenditures.
And being the world's sugar daddy.
And so nation building, which, that's not the role of the federal government. However,
can't even build our own nation. Why are we building nations around the world?
If you can't do infrastructure here, why would we do it in Iraq or Iran or Afghanistan?
Hubris. It's total hubris. But it's kind of stuff that brings down empires. Just ask Rome.
Yeah, but the point is, he's going to have to be able to take his stance on a limited federal government, and he's going to have to make that make sense in his foreign policy. And if he can do that, and he can communicate to the American people why we need to stop trying to fight wars everywhere, and by the way, Americans want to support Israel, so he's going to have to figure out a way to do that without making it seem like he wants to go to war with everybody else in order to do that.
On that point, we'll end with war, and but interesting, timely topic. There's going to be a lot more about this over at usdailyreview.com. I want to encourage you to check it out. And while you're checking it out, US Daily Review, make sure you like it on Facebook, follow on Twitter, and you're listening to The Price of Business.